Welcome to the Coach Zing Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to CoachZing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coach Zing Show. This is Doug Foresta, of course, and this is the show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And, part of that work less, I have to tell you, my son is 10, and, I've been saving for college since he was 0. And I know you get a lot out of this episode because we're going to talk about content marketing. We're also going to talk about taming the high cost of college, which if you're a parent, you probably are thinking about or have thought about. My guest today is Brad Baldridge, and I'll say a little bit about him, bring him right on. Brad Baldridge has been a college funding consultant since 2004 and is owner of Baldridge Wealth Management. He's a certified financial planner and a member of the local and national chapters of the Financial Planning Association. He received his Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Wisconsin in 1990, and you can reach him and learn more at tamingthehighcostofcollege.com. That's tamingthehighcostofcollege.com. Brad Baldridge, welcome to the Coach Zing Show.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Thank you. So I'll start with the usual departure point on the show, which is, what is your favorite way to get the word out about what you do to the people that most need to hear it?
Right. For me, it's actually been public speaking and seminars, webinars. My biggest challenge is I do college planning, and most people don't think to look me up. So they don't look for me. They're not actively searching for me until they get right to the college time. And then if they see a webinar or a seminar that says, hey, we can help you pay for college, they're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go learn about it. So I've been working with local high schools and park and recs and doing a lot of public speaking. And that's been great.
That makes sense. And then, of course, I would imagine for you, you'd also would like to reach people before the day before freshman orientation, I would imagine, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I do focus on what I call late stage planning.
Right.
So my typical client has kids in high school.
Okay.
But I'd like to meet them when they have a junior, so we have a little bit of time to plan and prepare.
Right.
But I get those emergency seniors quite often too, where they're like, we've got 4 months to fill out these forms and figure it all out, and we don't even know what colleges to visit yet.
So, yeah, right, exactly. One thing I would love for you to, we're talking about content marketing, but I know that a lot of people listening are entrepreneurs with families, and I'm sure that they would be interested in hearing about college planning. And so can you say a little bit about, first of all, you talked about late stage, but when, first of all, should you start doing college planning?
All right. So college planning, in my opinion, is a high school activity, at least the planning that I'm thinking about.
Right.
College savings, you can start as soon as you got an extra dollar. And even before you have an extra dollar for some people.
Sure.
But the planning that we're talking about is visiting schools and really figuring out, well, if I've got this pot of money, how do I spend it efficiently? Are we going to need loans? How much can we afford to spend? Will we qualify for need-based aid? Will we qualify for merit aid? All that kind of stuff. Realistically, as sophomore, junior high school is a good time to really buckle down and understand the whole system. Not just I need a big pot of money, but even if I have a big pot of money, what forms am I going to fill out? Who's going to pay? What kind of loans are available? What about scholarships? How do we get those? All that kind of stuff also needs to be planned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing I'm wondering is, especially, are there, in your experience, I guess, different challenges for people who are entrepreneurs versus people that have like a 9-to-5 job?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of opportunity. And by the way, this is a great marketing strategy, which is give away your best stuff.
There you go.
So here you go. If you're an entrepreneur, one of the big advantages to the entrepreneur is you have control over things like your paycheck,
Right.
You have control over who gets paid what. You can hire your kids into the business if it makes sense, all kinds of stuff where you've got a lot more flexibility and therefore a lot more planning opportunities and therefore a lot more opportunity to do things right or wrong. So I'll give you an example. I have a client who was an entrepreneur in the construction industry. He was running a small construction firm. He decided to go out and buy a sunglass business, which it was a small business. It was essentially a tent and a bunch of inventory, and they went to the local state fairs and they sold eyeglasses, high volume, worked from dusk to dawn kind of thing. But he had a number of high school age kids, and they did most of the work or a lot of the work, and he just kind of supervised where he could. And lo and behold, as an example, again, that business never made much money for Dad, but the kids got paid really well. And then the kids saved their own money for their own college. And therefore, it didn't cost Dad as much. And it was a win-win for everyone. The kids had a great learning experience of what it means to sell and maintain inventory and run a cash register and how to not get ripped off and et cetera, et cetera. And it helped grow the kids as well as help pay for college in a tax favored way, because the kids didn't pay a lot of taxes on the income.
Right.
Whereas Dad, a successful entrepreneur, if he'd have made even more money to pay for college, by the time he gets clobbered for taxes and everything else,
right.
and then
it would have brought home nothing, basically.
Exactly. So that's an example again of an entrepreneur saying, "Well, I've got this opportunity," whereas the typical 9-to-5, office manager, office employee kind of person doesn't have control over their salary and that kind of stuff.
You had mentioned, that a strategy that really works for you is definitely speaking and doing seminars and things like that. I'm curious about if you've played around with the topic or the different topics that you speak about and how you choose a topic. Is it just how to plan for college, or can you say a bit about what those what those webinars and speeches entail?
Yeah. I mean, my core message is always the kind of the late stage college planning. But there's a lot of unique slants on it. So as an example, Entrepreneurs is a group that has their unique challenges. Divorce would be another group that has their unique challenges because they've got extra things to do. So when I'm in front of a bunch of divorce attorneys, I talk a lot differently than when I'm in front of a group of entrepreneurs. And so that's kind of what I've done is, how does late stage college planning affect athletes, divorced families, entrepreneurs, the high achieving kid, the low achieving kid, all those types of things.
Oh, that's great. So you can really, what I hear you saying then is, it sounds like you really niche down into whatever the audience is that you're in front of. Like, would that be fair to say?
It is, yes.
And so one of the things I'm curious about is, and maybe there isn't just one mistake, because I guess it depends on who it is, but what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people make when they do college planning? Right.
So the universal mistake is they start too late. And that's a little cliche, but it's very true in college
right.
planning. The parents can start before the kids are ready. College is coming when you've got a high school sophomore. The student may not know what they want to be when they grow up, and they don't know what college is, and they're not old enough to visit yet, maybe, or mature enough. But mom and dad know what's coming, so they can start planning. And then you can add the student component when they're ready. Then you can do college visits. But it can be in a couple stages. This is what we can do now, not knowing a lot. This is what we can do when we have a school list. And then this is what we can do when we know exactly which college we're going to. We know exactly what it costs. Now let's finalize the plan. But a good time to start for most families is early in the junior year. Freshman year is better, but for most families, when you have a freshman in high school, you're trying to acclimate to high school and you're not thinking about college. But certainly by the junior year, that's when it's really go time. And although I do get parents of seniors and I can, I help them all the time. And I'm always saying, I wish you would have been here 6 months earlier because we could have done this and we could have done that. So I think that's probably the biggest mistake across the board. And then I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there. I'm not going to get any need-based aid because my brother-in-law didn't get any.
Right.
It's
yeah,
like,
it didn't
well,
work for my neighbor.
Right, exactly. And it's a relatively complex topic. So unless your neighbor earns the same amount you do and has similar aged kids and is very cookie cutter like you, which is not likely, then comparing to them is probably not accurate. Because I've had as an example, I've had families earning $75,000 a year qualify for no need-based aid. So they could not get need-based aid. They earned too much. On the flip side, I've had families earning $300,000 qualify for need-based aid. They still got substantial aid. What's the difference? Well, the difference is how many kids you have, what schools you're considering, how expensive they are, whether or not they offer need-based aid, and how the formulas work. So you can't make assumptions until you really understand what criteria are important for which parts of it. So it's an education process, I guess, is the bottom line.
That makes so much sense. And of course, I would say with that, get some help, right? Don't try to, unless if you're not a mechanic, you don't try to fix your own car. Why are you trying to do this all yourself? Actually, I'm really curious about how you got started. As you were saying this, how did you get started in this particular area and what interested you in doing this?
Right. So I got started. College planning is my second and third business. So my first business is financial planning.
Oh, right.
So I started out helping families figure out how to retire and what types of insurance and all the normal financial planning stuff. And then I started noticing that parents of 17-year-olds, the typical formula of, well, let's see how much we need to save per month. And most people aren't going to be able to save $4,000 a month so that they have a pot of money for college. Yet kids were still going to college. So how are they doing it? And I realized that, there's financial aid, there's scholarships, there's loans, there's all kinds of different strategies. And most families were only doing well in one or two areas and not really doing everything they could across the board. And then, of course, since then, in the last 10 years, the price of college has gone up, almost double probably in the last 10 years. So it's gotten even worse where it's a huge need and most families don't really understand it. So I started specializing in it. And I needed to do that originally because of, you shouldn't pay for scholarship advice. I'm not giving scholarship advice, but I got lumped in with that where, if your pipes are leaking, to call a plumber. If you are struggling with college and how you're going to pay and how it all works, who do you call? Well, I hope you call me, but where do you find them? People don't know that college planners exist. Therefore, they don't even know they should be calling them. And that's been my biggest challenge, is just getting the word out there and saying, hey, there's people that can help.
Another question I had for you. So, I don't think people know. They know they need help, but they don't even know there's anyone to help them. I see also one thing I didn't mention at the beginning is that I know you have your own podcast, Taming the High Cost of College. I was curious, how you got started in podcasting, and B, what kinds of benefits, if any, do you see from podcasting to your business?
I got involved in podcasting because as I'm doing my college planning, I found that I would sit down and have the same meeting over and over again. So it's financial aid time. I'd sit down with a family and say, all right, we're going to do financial aid forms. This is how it works. These are the deadlines. Here's what we're going to do. 3 hours later, another family would come in. I'd say the exact same thing. It's financial aid time. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how it works. And I realized I should just record that. And I wouldn't have to say it over and over and over again.
Right.
And then the whole idea of one to many started to brew. At the same time, I was paying for some radio advertising and getting a little frustrated with that because of the way the system works for that. And I said, oh, what about that internet radio thing? I've heard of something like that. So I kind of discovered podcasting and discovered the whole idea of online marketing and all this stuff kind of all simultaneously and realized, and that's when I decided to launch tamingthehighcostofcollege.com, which is my national presence on college planning. So that, that's my third business. I have my local consulting and my local financial planning as well. And the taming is my goal is to help thousands.
Right.
Which obviously I can't do one-on-one. It has to be one-to-many type. So now I'm looking at webinars and online courses and all the different things that, I've got all this great knowledge. I just need to get it in a form that can be consumed. And that's, kind of where I am in my business as far as the podcast itself. That's why I got involved. What has it done for me so far? I've met a lot of great people through podcasting already. Other people that are podcasting or other experts that I talk to, and I learn, as I'm interviewing, kind of like what you're doing right now. You're learning a little bit about college planning.
Absolutely.
I'm interviewing people more on the college stuff. So I talk to people that are experts on, well, what do you do if you have a high school athlete that wants to be a college athlete? Talk to people about test prep and talk to people about applications and writing essays. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a financial planner. The last thing you want me to do is read your essay and tell you if it's good or not. That's not my job. I help families figure out how to pay for it. I don't help them figure out what kind of majors they're interested in. That's not me as well. There's experts out there for that too. So part of my podcast, I'm interviewing those people that are essay experts and how to choose majors and career paths, and how do you choose a college that's a good fit, and when you do all that stuff, then I can help you pay for it. So I've been meeting a lot of people in parallel industry, so to speak. They're all in the higher education realm, but they're kind of doing different things.
I would imagine those people could be great referral sources for you too, or for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, that's this kind of stuff that I've been working on for the last 6 months or year, is kind of on a national level. I've got some of the local people that I've been working with for years, but now it's like, well, I can work with, a test prep person that's, if they've got an online course, they've got people all over the country, and I could, now work with them as well because I have a podcast that's available all over the country. So that's more, that's more in my entrepreneurial evolution. That's kind of where I'm kind of shifting right now.
I think that's fantastic. And again, I think what you're doing, especially anyone who has, many of us have specialties where people they know they have a problem, but they don't even know that there's someone to help them with that problem, or they don't even understand fully what their problem is. I think in college, people get, oh yeah, I got to pay for this somehow.
Right. Absolutely. And I think there's along those lines, I think there's a revolution kind of going on where people, the way things work is getting to be a little bit different. And I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I had a couple clients who are attorneys, and their business is changing a lot, because they used to say, well, 30-40% of my business used to be injury cases and car accidents and that kind of stuff. Well, in the last 5 to 10 years, if you watch TV around here, and it's probably in your neck of the woods too, there's 5 or 6 attorneys now that just dominate with commercial after commercial about, were you in a car accident? We'll get you millions.
That's right.
Well, guess what's happened? Who are you going to call when it's time? You have a car injury. Are you going to call the guy that does car injuries all day, every day? Or are you going to call the guy that says, yeah, I'll do your divorce, and if you need me to do your car accident, I can do that too, and we'll work on your speeding ticket along the way. You say, well, wait a minute. This guy over here, this is all he does. He's an expert at it. He's been through the ringer so many times. I think I'll hire him, all things being equal. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs out there to stake a claim. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are teaching entrepreneurs how to be entrepreneurs.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people out there that have expertise that they can take how to be an entrepreneur and apply it to their expertise. You know how to make grass grow? Well, there's probably people out there that own golf courses that would be happy to be part of your community because they need their grass to grow. You know how to, you pick it, and it's changing. And I think that's a great opportunity in many areas.
I think that's so true, and that the world needs. We all have things like, you're helping more people. Through the podcast, through being here, through being online, you're helping more people than you would be able to help one-on-one.
Absolutely.
Brad Baldridge, this is been excellent stuff. And what an important topic. If people want to learn more about you or they want to contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'm available at the website, tamingthehighcostofcollege.com, or you can send me an email, brad@tamingthehighcostofcollege.com. And I just launched a scholarship guide for busy parents that's available, tamingthehighcostofcollege.com/scholarships. And it's a great guide that's out there to teach busy parents the basics on scholarships so you know what to do and what not to do, and get you up to speed quickly.
Brad Baldridge, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your words of wisdom. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. It was great to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And I do encourage you to go to tamingthehighcostofcollege.com. We'll be back Monday and Friday helping you with new episodes. I do want to encourage you also, if you've not subscribed to the podcast, go to iTunes, click the subscribe button, and you'll get new episodes helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coach Singh Show.
Thank you for listening to The Coach Singh Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by CoachSing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to CoachSing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coach Zingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to CoachZing.com/community to join now.